Turn that damn camera off!
One cop destroyed her career to cover up his crime.
When a rogue officer realizes his own corruption is about to be caught, he will destroy anyone in his way to protect his badge, even a fellow officer. Today, we break down the dramatic case of a corrupt cop who tried to frame an innocent colleague to cover up his own crime, only to watch his entire career crumble right on camera. On October 14th, a simple night on patrol turned into a dangerous web of lies. It all started with a routine traffic stop in a quiet neighborhood. A driver had been pulled over for a broken taillight, but things quickly got complicated when the officer spotted a large stack of cash sitting right on the passenger seat. That officer was Officer Miller, a veteran on the force who was used to calling the shots. Because money was involved, department policy required a second unit to back him up. That was when Officer Davis arrived. She was a junior officer, eager to do her job by the book and protect the community. But as soon as Davis stepped out of her patrol car, she could tell something was terribly wrong.
Here's my license and registration.
Miller, need backup?
Stay back, Davis. I got this.
What's going on?
Mind your own business.
Miller's behavior raised immediate red flags for the young officer. Instead of securing the scene together like they were trained to do, Miller seemed desperate to keep Davis as far away from the car as possible. Every time she tried to get a clear look at the cash on the seat, Miller shifted his body to block her view. He wasn't acting like a cop conducting a routine traffic stop. He was acting like a man with a secret. And Davis was starting to realize that the biggest threat on the road that night wasn't the driver. It was her own partner. As Davis watched from a few feet away, Miller reached through the open window of the car. In one quick, smooth motion, he grabbed a thick stack of the driver's cash and shoved it straight into his own tactical vest pocket. He thought the dark night would hide what he did, but he forgot one major detail. Davis was watching every single move. Realizing he had just committed a crime right in front of his backup, panic instantly set in. Instead of backing down, Miller turned his anger directly onto the junior officer. He knew that if her body camera caught even a second of this, his life as a cop was over. Breaking department rules was no longer a worry for him. He was now in full survival mode.
Mute your mic! Still blinking! Why is your camera still blinking? Shut it off now!
By demanding that Davis turn off her camera, Miller had just made the biggest mistake of his entire life. Police officers are required by law and department rules to keep their cameras running during every traffic stop to keep everyone safe. Miller wasn't just breaking a rule. He was actively trying to force a younger officer to help him cover up a felony theft. But Davis knew the law, and she knew her duty. Her refusal to obey his illegal order turned the routine stop into a high-stakes standoff on the side of the road, setting off a chain of events that Miller would never be able to undo. What Miller did in that exact moment was not just wrong, it was completely illegal. Police officers are bound by strict rules to protect citizens from police abuse. Under department policy, body cameras must stay turned on and unmuted during the entire time an officer is on a call. This ensures that every action is recorded fairly for the court to see. Furthermore, the Fourth Amendment protects citizens from illegal searches and the theft of their personal property by law enforcement. When an officer takes money without documenting it as evidence, it is considered felony theft and evidence tampering. By ordering Officer Davis to shut off her camera while he held the suspect's money, Miller crossed a dangerous line. Under standard policy and federal civil rights laws, an officer commanding a secondary deputy to disable recording equipment during an active seizure is a glaring indicator of evidence tampering and bad faith conduct. Miller was trying to use his senior rank to bully a junior officer into breaking the law with him. But Davis had legal protections as a whistleblower, meaning the law was on her side if she reported his corruption. Miller thought he could scare her into submission, but he was about to find out that Davis was not going to let him turn her into a criminal. Standing on the dark shoulder of the road, Officer Davis quickly realized the true danger of her situation. Miller was not just trying to steal the driver's cash, he was setting up a trap for her. If the missing money was reported later, Miller would blame the junior officer, claiming she was the one who searched the car and stole the evidence. It was his word against hers, and as a veteran officer, people would likely believe him. Davis knew that if she obeyed his order to turn off her camera, she would be handing him the perfect weapon to destroy her life. Her only way to survive was to keep the camera rolling and force everything into the light. Instead of backing away in fear, Davis stood her ground and decided to call for help from someone higher up.
Get back in your cruiser and shut that mouth right now, Davis!
I am not turning off my camera. I am requesting Sergeant Vance to this location right now.
The moment those words echoed over the radio, Miller's face went pale. Calling a command supervisor meant that the whole scene was about to be officially investigated on the spot. Miller had tried to use his size and authority to break her spirit, but Davis refused to play his dirty game. She had just drawn a line in the sand, turning a quiet traffic stop into a full-blown department crisis. Miller was running out of options, and he knew that once Sergeant Vance arrived, someone was going to leave that road in handcuffs. As they waited in tense silence for the supervisor to arrive, Miller believed he still had a fighting chance to control the narrative. He was a veteran officer who knew how to play the system, and he was already rehearsing the story he would tell to ruin Davis's reputation. But in his rush to cover up his crime, Miller made a fatal mistake that would undo everything. He was so focused on Davis's body camera that he completely forgot about the technology inside his own patrol car. The car was equipped with an upgraded wide-angle interior dashcam that recorded continuously, even when the main system appeared to be on standby. To make matters worse for him, every word spoken near the radio was being logged directly by dispatch back at headquarters. Miller spoke those words with complete confidence, totally unaware that his own patrol car had just captured his crime in crystal clear detail. While he stood there blaming an innocent young officer for his own wrongdoing, the evidence against him was already safely stored on the police department's secure server. Miller thought he was playing a masterclass game of deception, but in reality, he was walking straight into a trap of his own making. Every lie he told to his supervisor was being locked in on tape, setting up a brutal moment of truth that would shatter his world in a matter of seconds. Sergeant Vance listened carefully as Miller finished his story, but the veteran officer's tale immediately started to fall apart. Sergeant Vance was no fool. He noticed that Miller was breathing heavily, sweating profusely, and refusing to make direct eye contact. When the sergeant turned to ask Davis for her side of the story, she did not panic or shout. Instead, she calmly pointed to her active camera and explained that her footage captured every single command Miller had given her, including his order to mute her microphone and shut off her equipment. Knowing the strict department rules about body cameras, Sergeant Vance decided to review the live feed right there on the shoulder of the road, using his mobile computer. The sergeant's face turned dark as he watched the unmuted video. On the screen, Miller's illegal demands and aggressive behavior toward Davis played back in perfect clarity. The supervisor did not need to see anything else to know that a major crime had taken place. Instead of backing up his senior officer, Sergeant Vance turned on Miller with a cold, stern look. The tables had turned in an instant, and the bully who thought he controlled the scene suddenly realized he was completely cornered.
Miller, step away from that car right now. Unsnap your holster, hand over your service weapon and your badge, effective immediately.
Standing exposed in the flashing red and blue lights of the police cars, Miller was forced to hand over his badge on the very road where he had tried to ruin an innocent partner's life. His attempt to frame Davis had backfired in the worst way possible. He had gone from an authority figure demanding obedience to a suspect being stripped of his power on camera. But as the sergeant placed Miller's weapon in the trunk, the disgraced officer was about to face the real legal consequences of his actions. An official internal affairs investigation was launched immediately that night, and the evidence against Miller was simply overwhelming. Armed with the backup dashcam video, dispatch audio logs, and Davis's unbroken body cam footage, investigators had everything they needed to hold him accountable. Within 48 hours, Miller was officially terminated from the police department in disgrace. But losing his job was only the beginning of his troubles. State prosecutors formally charged Miller with felony theft, evidence tampering, and official misconduct. Facing a pile of video evidence that left no room for doubt, Miller chose to plead guilty, swapping his police uniform for a state prison sentence. Meanwhile, Officer Davis was fully exonerated of any wrongdoing. The chief of police publicly praised her bravery for standing her ground, pointing to her actions as a prime example of integrity under intense pressure. Following the incident, the police department overhauled its policies, making it a fireable offense to ask a fellow officer to mute or disable a body camera during any call. The driver whose money was stolen received a full refund, alongside a civil settlement from the city for the violation of his rights. Davis's decision to keep her camera running not only saved her own career, but it also exposed a bad cop and made the entire community safer. When corrupt officers try to abuse their power, recording the truth is the ultimate defense. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit the like button, subscribe for more real-world legal breakdowns, and let us know your thoughts on this case in the comments below.